There's a new vaccine to add to your fall lineup, available to North Country seniors soon. In May, the Food and Drug Administration approved 2 vaccines for RSV. For adults 60 and up, RSV typically brings symptoms similar to a cold, can be more severe and develop into a serious illness like pneumonia and bronchitis in seniors and young infants. Kinney Drugs says that the new vaccine will be available at locations throughout the state as soon as it rolls out.
Just recently approved. It's really helps to vaccinate the people 60 plus against the RSV, or the respiratory syncytial virus, and that's really kind of what causes the most amount of harm for seniors today.
And you can head to our website for more information and updates on that vaccine.